Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be my Premier League predictions for the 2017/18 season. So of course you guys will already have seen my Championship predictions for the upcoming season, so I thought I'd do a video on my Premier League predictions, and I've got a feeling this could be a pretty massive season in the Premier League. So obviously this is just my opinion. Will I get all of these predictions right? No, absolutely not. But we're going to be doing that today anyway. So what I would love to know from you guys is, what are your predictions going into this season's Premier League? I'm really looking forward to it. A lot of money has been spent in the Premier League this season, like always really, but this season more so than ever really. So I'm really excited for the Premier League season to kick off in just over a week now. So like I said, let me know your predictions down in the comments down below. And what I'd also love to know from you guys is, would you like to see from me some Premier League score predictions this season? Let me know down below, because of course last season I did it throughout the whole of the season for the Championship, and I do know I have quite a few subscribers who are like Brighton fans, Huddersfield fans and Newcastle fans. So would you guys like to see some Premier League score predictions this season? Let me know down below. It wouldn't affect the Championship score predictions, they'd still be coming out every week. It would just be an extra video a week, I suppose, focusing on the Premier League. Let me know if you guys would like to see that. And speaking of score predictions, actually my Championship score prediction video will be coming out tomorrow at 4 for the first weekend of Championship football. So that video will be out tomorrow, but today we're focusing on the Premier League. So without further ado, let's get into my predictions. So coming in at 20th place and bottom of the Premier League is going to be Swansea City. Now Swansea are in a really funny state at this point in time, really, and last season they of course just managed to scrape survival, and what I'll say straight off the bat is my prediction could drastically change come the end of this transfer window. Of course we've still got like a month left of the transfer window, so it's very difficult to call this table at this point in time. The reason I'm putting Swansea there is because to me it looks like they're going to be losing Sigurdsson, and if they didn't have Sigurdsson last season, they most likely definitely would have gone down, and it of course is yet to be seen. If they get about 50 million for him, how would they then reinvest that money? But looking over some of the incomings they've had so far haven't really filled me with that much confidence. I mean, I am looking forward to seeing how Tammy Abraham gets on in the Premier League, but if they do lose Sigurdsson and don't replace his quality, the Championship's their only destination. Then coming in at 19th place is actually going to be Brighton, and the reason I'm putting Brighton in here, it is quite a shame to me actually, because I do really want to see all the teams that went up from the Championship do well in the Premier League. The reason I put Brighton in there is because their recruitment so far, I just feel like this squad needs more if they are going to survive in the Championship, in the Premier League, sorry. Matty Ryan I thought was a good addition, Izzy Brown as well, maybe he'll be able to do it in the Premier League, but I think their spine of their squad needs to be strengthened a bit more. Perhaps as well they need a little bit more pace going forward if they really are going to compete in this league. I feel like they might be a bit too reliant on knockout, which I don't think they'll be able to get away with in the Premier League. So new additions will need to be brought in for Brighton. At the moment I'm saying 19th. And then in at 18th and just going down is going to be Burnley, in my opinion. Now Burnley last season was a great season for them, really. You know, being able to stay in the Premier League was absolutely magnificent, and a large part of that was contributed to their fantastic defensive record. Now of course they have lost Michael Keane, so whether like Tarkowski's going to be able to replace him sufficiently enough, or anyone else that comes in, it's yet to be seen. As well as that, their poor away record, they're definitely going to need to improve that this season in what could be a more competitive league at the bottom of the table. Jonathan Walters has come in as a striker. Is he going to be able to do the business for them? I'm not so sure. Coming in at 17th place and just scraping survival, in my opinion, is going to be Huddersfield Town. Now Huddersfield are definitely a team that I'm looking forward to seeing in the Premier League. Similarly with Brighton as well, I think both of them could. I'm looking forward to seeing how they play, because in the Championship they played some great football at times, so it's going to be interesting to see whether they adapt how they actually play to suit the Premier League and then survive, hopefully, for them. But Aaron Moy, I think, will be a great player in the Premier League. I think in terms of what he will bring to this Huddersfield side could be massive. It could be like what Sigurdsson was to Swansea in all the seasons he's been there. The recruitment as well, they brought in a lot of players this season, so whether all of those will settle in, I'm not so sure, but I am backing Huddersfield to just about stay up. Then coming in at 16th place, and maybe a little bit of a controversial one, I'm going to throw in Newcastle United. Now I know a lot of people will probably be predicting Newcastle to finish a little bit higher up in the table. The reason I'm putting them there is because first of all, Rafa Benitez, in my opinion, is an absolutely incredible manager, but what he's working with at Newcastle at this point in time isn't really the best Premier League squad. When you compare Newcastle's squad compared to some of the other teams in and around the teams that are going to be fighting for relegation, it's not really the best squad in my opinion. And I must say, I have been a little bit disappointed with the business that Newcastle have actually done so far. I thought, you know, they went up to the Premier League. I thought they'd go out and get some really big marquee signings. So far, they've not really done that. They've got in Jacob Murphy and Manquillo, who are solid players, but they're not going to push them onto the next level, in my opinion. In at 15th is going to be Watford this season, and Marco Silva, I think, I rate him as a manager. He was very unlucky to be relegated with Hull last season. I thought what he did there more than shows he's capable of doing it in the Premier League. I think they do need to strengthen a little bit more, but you know, some of the additions so far, I think Hughes and Chalobah will be decent additions for them. In at 14th is going to be Stoke City. Stoke are a team which at the moment I see them going backwards a little bit from their finish last season. I mean, they've lost Arnautovic, who was a pretty massive player for them last season. So far, the players they brought in, they haven't really strengthened their starting 11 apart from Kurt Zouma coming in. So going forward, I feel like they need to touch up a couple of their options if they are going to finish any higher. Then for 13th place, that is going to be Crystal Palace. The reason I'm putting Palace here is because, I mean, going forward, Palace do look to have a very good side. I think players like Christian Benteke and Wilfried Zaha, if they manage to hit form again, they will absolutely shine this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing what dynamic they'll have with Crystal Palace this season. Defensively, I think Palace could be a little bit suspect this season, and it's yet to be seen how Frank de Boer will actually get on with this side. Then in at 12th, it is going to be West Brom. I mean, West Brom is a solid Tony Pulis side. I can't see them having too many fears of relegation, and they did seem to switch up a little bit last season. You know, they looked to score a few more goals. I know Matty Phillips last season really seemed to hit it off for them, so if a player like Jay Rodriguez, a new incoming for them, can have the same impact, I think West Brom will finish in a solid 12th place. Then into 11th place, that is going to be Bournemouth, and Bournemouth are a side which, once again, I'm really looking forward to see how they actually do this season, and they've had two very solid seasons in the Premier League, and I think this will be one which they continue to build on. Their additions so far have strengthened their starting 11, perhaps a little bit more so than the teams I put below them, but with incomings like Begovic, Jermaine Defoe and Nathan Ake into their starting 11, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Bournemouth will do this season, and if Defoe does stay injury free and he manages to stay fit, he'll bag many goals for them, I'm sure. Then into 10th place, coming in at the midpoint, we are going to have Southampton, which is a little bit of a drop off from where they finished last season. Once again, quite similar to a lot of teams I've already mentioned. I feel like they need to do a little bit more business if they are going to propel themselves up the league compared to some of the teams above them, like, I mean, West Ham and Everton, who have spent a lot more money than they have so far and really have focused on strengthening their starting 11. I feel like they may finish a little bit lower than last season, but Southampton, they always pull something out the bag. In at 9th place is going to be Leicester City, in my opinion. Last season, I felt that Craig Shakespeare showed he could handle himself in the Premier League, and so after what was a pretty disastrous start to last season, Leicester should look to rectify that. Some of the incomings which have come into Leicester as well, I've been quite impressed with. Bora, I think, is a very intelligent signing for them, as well as that Harry Maguire. They had quite an ageing defence, so to get a player in like Harry Maguire, I feel like will be another nice addition for them. And then into the top 8 we go. So coming in at 8th place is going to be West Ham United, and this looks to be finally a season where West Ham have finally pulled their finger out and finally brought in a striker in Chicharito, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he actually does in the Premier League once again. Obviously, he was great with Man United, and with this West Ham side and some of the service that he could be getting in behind from players like Lanzini and Arnautovic, I'm really looking forward to seeing what West Ham could do this season. They've of course got Joe Harton as well, so they should be more stable at the back this season, and West Ham don't really have too many excuses now. 8th place for them. Then in at 7th, I'm going to predict it to be Everton. Now, Everton have been one of the busiest sides in the Premier League this season, without a doubt. Some of the incomings that they've got in, they've spent a lot of money, and all of that could be tipped off with Gylfi Sigurdsson, who of course at the moment they are heavily being linked to. But I think in terms of the starting 11 of players that Everton actually have now, it's an improvement on last season, of course, without Lukaku, which will be a bit of a miss for them. But I feel like if they do get Sigurdsson in, they will have replaced Lukaku's goals. You know, Sigurdsson will get goals, Rooney will get get goals. Goals will come from out wide and deeper into midfield, and I feel like more players will share the goals rather than one player in Lukaku doing it all for Everton this season. The only thing I feel like will be holding them back from the top 6 is they do have Europa League football to be playing this season, so perhaps that will make them a little bit more inconsistent than the rest of the top 6. And now here we go, guys, into the top 6, and no doubt this is where the video gets controversial, and whoever I put outside the top 4, I have no doubt that people are going to dislike the video for this, but I'm going to stick my neck on the line. Coming in at 6th place is going to be Spurs. Now, the reason I am putting Spurs here, don't get me wrong, their starting 11 is probably one of the strongest ones in the Premier League at the moment. I don't think that can really be argued with. I mean, they've not bought anyone. I just can't believe it at the moment. Spurs have not strengthened their squad at all, and they've lost Kyle Walker being, you know, their #1 right back. So Spurs are without a doubt going to need to sign players from now until the end of the window. Will that happen? I'm not so sure. I just feel like the handicap of playing at Wembley for every home game this season will be quite crippling for Spurs actually this season. I feel like every team that goes to Wembley this season is going to be up for it. Of course, a massive contributing factor to Spurs doing so well recently in the past 2 seasons has been their home form. So for that to be taken away from them this season and for them to be playing at Wembley, where previously in the Champions League they've already flopped at, I just feel like they may fall under the top 4 this year. Then coming in at 5th place and just missing out on the top 4, in my opinion, is once again going to be Arsenal. And Arsenal are a side this season which is quite a tough one to predict, I think it's fair to say. I mean, last season was the first season in God knows how long that they missed out on the top 4, so it's going to be interesting to see how Wenger actually tries to recuperate this Arsenal side. Of course, their big business this season has been Lacazette coming into the side. He'll score goals for them, I'm in no doubt this season, but Arsenal, people can't forget how bad Arsenal were at times last season. The mentality of the squad, I don't think will change with one new striker coming into the team, so however good he may be, I still feel like they may miss out on the top 4. It's going to be pivotal for Arsenal that they do keep hold of Alexis Sanchez, and if they do lose Sanchez, I can see Arsenal finishing lower than 5th, I've got to be honest, but at this point in time, I'm saying 5th. Then coming in at 4th place and sneaking into the first Champions League spot, in my opinion, is going to be Liverpool. Now, I am putting Liverpool here, of course, they did finish in 4th place last year as well, and I am going to back them to retain that place. And I think going forward, Liverpool are probably one of the most attractive sides to watch in the Premier League, and they've added to that amazing attack that they already had. Of course, they've added Salah, who I think will be a very good addition, perhaps take some of the weight off Sadio Mane, who was excellent last season. And so they got 2 different options to go forward with blistering pace. I'm backing them for 4th. Then coming in at 3rd place, in my opinion, I've switched this top 3 around so many times. For me, this year's title is going to be a 3-horse race between the 3 clubs I've not mentioned yet. So coming in at 3rd place, in my opinion, is going to be Manchester United. Now, last season, Man United, where would they have been if they finished all their chances? Who knows? They may have even won the title last season, but Mourinho seems to have a bit of a stubbornness about him these days, so it's yet to be seen whether he'll look to disregard that this season and really go for the title this year with Man United. Of course, Lukaku has come into United, being their major signing this season. They've also recently signed Nemanja Matic as well, who I think will be a nice addition. I just feel like United may be a little bit inconsistent. Their squad depth, I don't feel like is as good as the 2 squads which I'm putting above them. So really, it is only that, their squad depth, which I feel like needs to improve a little bit. I mean, their midfield going into this season of Matic, Pogba and Herrera is something else. And then coming in at 2nd place and just missing out on the title this season is going to be Chelsea. Now, in my opinion, like I said before, I think it will be a 3-horse race for the title this season. I just feel like Chelsea may fall a little bit short this season, and the business they've done in this window, don't get me wrong, I think they will have another excellent season. Bakayoko and Morata this season I think will both be great for Chelsea, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Conte will integrate them into this side. Of course, this season Chelsea do have Champions League football to be contending with, so I know that Conte has never won the Champions League before, so he may want to make that more of a priority this season. Like I said, I don't know, but Chelsea squad this season with Bakayoko and Kante in midfield, with players like Morata Morata and Hazard going forward. They will be great this season, but they'll just fall short. Then coming in at first place and winning the Premier League is going to be, in my opinion, Manchester City. I think Man City overall probably do have the best squad in the Premier League, and Guardiola, he really has no excuses this season. I mean, for God's sake, he spent like over 100 million on fullbacks this season, but Man City, of course, they really need to improve their defence after last season. They've done that. They've got in Kyle Walker, Mendy, Danilo as well, of course. I'm not sure if Ederson's going to be the keeper Man City need him actually to be to win the title. I've not really seen much of him, but if he is to be that, Man City should do it this season. Going forward, their options are just ridiculous this season, and they've got probably the biggest squad in the Premier League as well in terms of players who can play in the first team quite capably, and going forward, they're just an absolute joke. And like I said, Guardiola has no excuses. So there you guys have it. That is my prediction for this season's Premier League. What do you guys think of my predictions? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know down below. So guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So thank you so much for watching. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Also as well, make sure you do leave a comment in the comments down below as to what your Premier League predictions are for the upcoming season, and whether or not you would like to see me do some Premier League score predictions for the upcoming season. So guys, make sure you do subscribe for regular football content, whether that be Championship or Premier League. But like I said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out all the other links in the description down below. But apart from that, thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next one.